Hello, everyone. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
I'm sleepy, but we're here. How are you
All
doing?
right, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it do what it do.
Yeah.
And hello to all of our viewers. Welcome to Perspective. And if you're wondering what this platform and this podcast is about, it can be found right there in the name. Perspective. This is a safe place, a safe tree, if you will, where we can discuss various topics, different subjects, issues, things that are going on in the world in a safe manner and in a mature manner. We don't always have to agree, and we find ourselves that many times we have our own opinions, our own perspectives, our own points of views, our own lived experiences, and they tend to counter with others. But if we take the time to have that discussion in a mature manner, we'll come to find that we have more in common than not. Just because things are not aligned doesn't mean that the other person's position is wrong and yours is right, or theirs is right and yours is wrong. It simply means that they're different. And so, again, if we take the time to have that discussion, that actually brings us close together as individuals, which ultimately will bring us closer together as a community. And the main goal is to bring us closer together as a world. And that is what we aim to do here on Perspective. My name is Eric Butler, aka The Intellect, aka Cullinan 8, because I'm the biggest diamond ever found on land, aka The Atlantic, because I'm cold, deep, and choppy, and it ain't nothing nobody can do about it. I have been in the staffing, recruiting, talent acquisition world for about 20 years now. That has led me to have quite a few conversations, to work with people, do career counseling. It has introduced me to, I guess, my community work. My work in the community is through a nonprofit called the Empower Series, which is a financial literacy nonprofit organization. And I sit on the advisory board for that nonprofit. And want to give a quick shout out. We do have a workshop. We have one every third Saturday of the month. And so this Saturday on the 15th, we will be having a workshop. Definitely, you can go to my Facebook page, go to my YouTube, not YouTube, but go to my LinkedIn page, or you can just go to www.empowerseries.com and get all the information. I would say you can register. You don't have to be there in person, which I think is always outstanding, but you can also attend virtually. So if you don't know if you can be there, but you definitely want to have it and get notified, go ahead and register. It definitely helps the organization, just like hitting the like button helps us here on Perspective. Other than that, that has also rendered me the opportunity to get into, mentorship, some career counseling, as I mentioned, and also to be sitting here in front of you all on this wonderful special podcast with my most illustrious, is what I would say, sharp, intelligent, bright, balanced, and unduplicated co-host. And I call her Doc, but I will let her introduce herself now.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Whew. Is the
Mhm.
week dragging for y'all or is it flying by? Okay, so my name is Latoya. I am a licensed professional counselor. I am an author. I also have an audio only podcast called Say More About That. It drops every Monday where I say more about all things mental health, wellness, and sometimes relationships. Let's see. I am Latoya, aka Doc, aka Chef Jeff's wife, aka them kids' mama. Chef Jeff also has a show on the BS3 network. The name of his show is This Dope Cooking Show. It airs on Tuesdays at
Tuesdays
5:30.
at 5:30. Yeah.
Yeah, Tuesdays at 5:30.
See,
Let's
just
see.
talking about it make me hungry. I'm just
I know
all
my
I'm doing.
stomach growled a little bit. I was like, wait a
You
minute,
know.
what's happening? No, I'd be hungry. Okay. I think I said all the things about me. If you are here, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a different friend that Perspective is on. We are live and we are in the building, and we would love for you to join us at this time. Now, let me give you a disclaimer. Eric and I will be speaking from our previous lived experiences, our education, conversations we've had, and our general knowledge base. We are not talking about our current personal lives unless we say currently in our personal lives. So don't be making no assumptions. And let's see. We know that your sister's cousin, homegirl, best friend had the same situation and it worked out well for her. We love her, but we're not talking about her. Also, I am a therapist, not your therapist, unless we have paperwork and a payment plan in place. Let's just keep that in mind. Okay.
Keep that in mind. All right, Doc.
Let's
go
catch
right
up.
ahead.
Yep.
All right. My
Baby
favorite
bird.
viewer, and I'm not ashamed to say that. That is
Baby
Alexis
bird.
Butler. That's my baby bird right there. She says, "Hello, good people."
Hey sis, that baby
Hey.
bird, it give me every time. When I see her name, I be like, baby bird.
Wow. This is a special day.
Okay, I thought it was. I
Hello.
saw the name.
Yeah,
So
hello,
like,
Erica Butler. She said, "Hello, my good people." Hey,
hi.
that's my number one right there. So my baby bird and older sister in the building today.
Baby
This
bird.
should be interesting.
Well, welcome, both of you.
Absolutely. Erica in the building. That's my number one. That's the one that changed my life. More than my mama and my grandmama, that woman right there.
Is that the
Changed
one
my
who
life.
made you a granddaddy also? Or
She
pawpaw?
also, yep, made me a pawpaw. So she
welcome.
impact my life more than she'll ever really realize. Man, that's a special day today. All right, so the topic of the day and what we will be discussing, I think is important. I'm not going to say that I have this personal strong feeling about it, but I do. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. And so the title of today's show is Discomfort Demonization, Accountability Avoidance. Stop that mess. That is the title. And so we will be discussing, obviously, I came up with the discomfort demonization because I believe that accountability is avoided in many instances. And I find that to be very, very unfortunate. And Erica Butler says, "Yes, ma'am, that's me. Indeed, it is. Indeed, it is." So to kind of,
happy she's here.
yes, me too. And so to start it off, and I'm following the lead of my co-host. She is definitely.
We got to start with a definition.
Yeah, she will not. She will like, listen, unless you define what that means and how you're thinking about it, you need to keep that in your pocket. So I'm going to pull accountability and avoidance out of my pocket. So defining accountability and avoidance. Accountability is the willingness to accept responsibility for one's actions, choices, and the consequences, both positive and negative. It's about owning up to the mistakes, making amends. I like to always say apologizing, and actively working towards growth. That's the definition of accountability, the definition of avoidance, the act of evading responsibility, running, hiding, sticking your head in the sand, refusing to confront uncomfortable truths or shift blame to others, circumstances, or system. I would say systemic issues, or that without taking ownership of those and taking ownership of your role in the situation. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. Got to do something if you find yourself in the problem. So,
hold on, can I add to that definition?
100%.
Okay, so I just want to add that avoidance can be intentional, but it can also be subconscious. And so, depending on where we're going in the flow of this conversation, I also want to point out that avoidance is often used as a coping mechanism to escape discomfort, conflict, fear, triggers. So I just want to throw that in there because I don't know where we're going tonight, but I just want to acknowledge that it can be intentional and it could be in your subconscious.
No, and I think that's a very important point, man. That's why my co-host is the co-host. I have the co-host that is the most, always bringing the details. And I would encourage you to go back and look over some of the other shows. You'll see why I brag on her so much. So thank you for that.
Last week's show.
Yeah, I got a lot of
last week.
I got a lot of feedback on that. I didn't even send it to you, Doc. The message that was sent to me, I didn't even send it to you because you had already said, hey, I ain't taking on no more people, and I ain't. I'm booked. Come on now. I'm saving lives every week. I don't know. I can refer them. So
That's on them. Just hit the link in my bio. It's Hunger
okay.
Games over there.
Okay.
so, and
see
I feel
see what
good.
I mean?
I feel so good because I always tell my loctician, like, girl, it's the Hunger Games trying to get my hair done in here. And now that's how I feel when people be like, well, I was trying to book with you, but you only had.
Hey, you better get in where you can fit in. If
My
you didn't make it to the
clients
center
play about
island
me.
and get the weapons and the food and the water, that's on you. Get in there where you can. So to start it off, Doc, and this is, and I'll give if there's any new viewers here, because I'll dive in on what my perspective is, no pun intended, my opinion, my lived experiences, as I study and bring my thoughts to the table. But see, Doc is like a machine. You know, these type of elements, you know, mental health, the psychology, I would say, in a certain element, that's kind of her specialty, and she just be pulling stuff out. Yeah, she's really, really good at what she does. So she'll jump in and say, no, wait a minute, Eric, I don't care how you feel about it, but this is clinically, this is what it said, and I love that part of
that my
discussion.
voice.
Yeah, well, that's not your. I did change it a little bit. I don't mean no harm. I mean no harm. So, I want to start off on the culture of blame shifting because I think it's something that's prevalent in our society, and it's how they demonize accountability. I feel like society, right now it's just at an all-time high. Probably always been that way, but now with social media, and we'll talk about that. Its impact in this as well. There's an attack rather than an opportunity for growth. So accountability is demonized in that way. So individuals, they respond with being defensive when held accountable, and then they frame and really think about it, any correction as the cancel culture. And I'm trying to use terms and things that have come up recently. Someone that really try to hold your feet to the fire, what I like to call hold the mirror up and show you. This is me holding, you holding the mirror up.
Yeah,
you hold the mirror up, and then they don't like what they see. So we gonna cancel you. You're wrong for calling me out on my on me being accountable for my actions and what I've done. And then also they want to persecute people. They want to call you names and say that you're, I almost said something that would have really stirred it up. But if you talk about a particular class or group, they will attack you in that way. And you may just be holding them accountable for what the impact that they're making. The next point, Doc, the rise of victimhood. And Doc, I know you'll jump in there if I say something that makes you, makes your
I want to go back.
Let's do that.
I want to go back because you said that when you hold the mirror up to the people don't want to hear it, and so they want to cancel you. I am of the belief that if you are really trying to hold me accountable, you are really for real giving me a honest critique, you're going to come to me in a language and a tone that I can receive it. Otherwise, you're just trying to call me out for nothing. Like, you're not really trying to make me grow. You want to get a rise out of me. You know what I'm saying? I think part of it is, sure, people need to be held accountable. We don't change. You got to change in order to grow, and you can't be afraid of somebody telling you did something wrong. I'm with you. But I also feel like if your true intent is to correct me and help me grow, give it to me in a language that I can receive.
That's true.
We don't talk enough about that part.
Well, maybe not. And we can definitely carve a show around that particular point. And I mean, but I think we're addressing it right now. Erica Butler says, I used to be so subconscious of my accountability, avoidance. Never knew I was doing it until it was brought to my attention. And it was something I definitely needed to grow as a person. Oh man, that's huge. That's
That's
huge.
big.
And
Thank you
yeah,
for sharing that.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Now, yeah, I'm telling you, man, my number one, she number one. You know, um, that's huge right there. I love that. She said, I agree with Doc on that.
Thank
Um,
you.
and then Alexis Butler says, definitely agree, Doc. I always pay attention to true intent. And
Yes, because
that's a good
sometimes
call out
people just
there.
want to be funny, and don't just be funny with me. Because now I don't hear you because you being funny. Now I got to be funny, and
No,
now y'all mad at me.
100%. And so, we're really about solution, and we'll get into those, um, later in the show. But when you to kind of define that, Doc, I think you'll know a person's intent because do you have some some substance behind when you say that?
Mhm.
Also, the most important is who it is that's trying to give you the critique. If they, how are you going to try to tell me, hey, you got this splinter in your eye, and then it's a whole forest hanging out your face.
See, I don't really believe in that. I don't really believe in that. I feel like you can learn something from anybody. So I can learn from a crackhead how not to be a crackhead. I'm just gonna
True.
dismiss
I
them because
know.
they on
I've
crack.
said
Like
that
that's crazy.
same words, and I'm not even saying that. But you can learn how not to be a crackhead from a crackhead. But if a crackhead is to your point, if they talking about you and telling you and like really demonizing you or like beating you down, now you can tell when a crackhead is saying, "Hey man, this ain't what you're supposed to do. This
Mhm.
like I wish I wasn't this way." Once you get caught up in this addiction, man, it's impossible to break. I've been trying to
Mhm.
break it and I just can't. It's now if they sitting there talking about, man, look at you and you ain't your clothes ain't your clothes ain't washed, you're dirty, you do anything anybody asks you to for it, and then they doing the same thing. That's what I'm that's what that's what I
But
mean.
here's my point though. I've had people critique me, and I'm like, but I'ma always go back and think about what they said. But just because I don't like the messenger, and
100%.
just because I don't like how you presented it, and even though you pointing out the splinter in my eye with a forest hanging out of your eye, I still want the splinter out. You see
See,
what
what
I'm
I would
saying?
say,
And so my
this is
point is, even though it's wrong, like handle it how you need to handle it in that situation because boundaries are real. But
mhm.
go home and reflect. What if they onto something?
Oh yeah, I get it. I mean, you have you ever heard this term from the mouths of babes? It's some people won't listen to anyone younger than them, but you
I
have to
will.
look at the. I will. I'll listen because they may be showing
They
something
know
that,
something.
yeah, something. I'm like, okay, and even if that wasn't your intent, this is how you find out if you are subconsciously doing something. It's not obvious. If more than one person then pointed out, okay, let me take a seat and
Let me
look in
look
the.
at it.
Yeah, let me look at this. Like, what am I doing?
Real.
And then you may really realize like I really do this and I don't have a real answer for it, but soon as you're aware of it, at least gives you an opportunity to address it, to
Mhm.
try to maybe put something in play, or to at least go seek some assistance in trying to make that change, especially
Mhm.
if it's causing harm to your life and your ultimate goals and where you want to be. So the rise of victimhood culture is another point, when people define themselves by their struggles without taking responsibility for changing the circumstances that lead to those struggles.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now I'm
And then
taking
I
a
tell
pause to
people
let
too,
you.
like,
Yeah, go ahead, Doc.
it's always funny to me when I tell people, like, so here's the thing. Yes, your mama was harsh. Yes, your daddy left. Yes, the world was against you. Yes, that man broke your heart. What you doing today?
Mm, what we
Because
gonna
you're
do
responsible
now?
for your own healing. Now, you're not responsible for what happened to you, but you are absolutely responsible for healing from that. It is not your fault that these people did these things to you, but it is definitely your responsibility to navigate your way on up at that thing, right? And so sometimes I question, do people really want to change, or are you so attached to the narrative of what happened to you? Because a lot of times people just be like, oh, I have trauma. Girl, okay, you was 5, you got a spanking, like relax. And I'm not here to downplay it. Like, trauma's real, how it impacts your brain, it impacts every part of your brain, all the things. But I am always cautious of people who lead with their trauma, because why are you telling me this?
You know why not?
Yeah, because they want me to feel sorry for them and they want me
And
to
they don't,
give them whatever
and
they want.
they don't want to take, everybody say it with me, accountability.
Accountability.
Yes. Um, Alexis Butler says, man, I hate when people bring up my age as if what I'm saying is automatically invalid because I'm younger.
Right.
Let's be for real.
Let's be for real.
Because I
There's
know
no point with that.
there's a story in a really popular book where there was they were probably 12 or 13 years old, and they were in this particular building where they discussed certain things, and it was full of these supposedly very wise and well-read individuals, and this 12 and 13-year-old who had like broke away from his family and they couldn't find him, and when they came back to look for him, he was in there teaching and speaking as if he had known, like it was something special about him, and he was wiser than all of those older individuals in there. Some of you may know what the book is. Some of you may know who the person is, but if you don't, go do some research.
You talking about JC?
JC, yeah, that dude there. Erica Butler says, "Granddaddy Carter, hey granddaddy, you have a podcast?" Carter Mack in the building. So Carter Mack watching right now. That's awesome. Alexis Butler. What
I can't pop it up there.
Oh, I'm saying Alexis Butler said, "My Lord and Savior." Okay, she knew who we was talking about.
Yeah, we talking about OJC.
OJC, indeed. So, an example. So we were talking about society framing accountability as an attack rather than an opportunity to grow. People get defensive. They frame correction or maybe really good, solid advice. And then they move into this cancel culture or persecution element. Or I even think they will say, you're trying to cancel me or you're attacking me by bringing the truth to the front, and then being a victim. But an example I wanted to use in my world is like in the workplace, like employees or individuals who consistently, let's say, miss deadlines, right? And then blame toxic work culture rather than admitting that they really have poor time management. Or you mentioned something, I think procrastination, it could be a coping mechanism for the stress or the pressure of the thing that they're doing. So then we don't need to say that you have a toxic work culture. We need to look at why you're having a hard time getting that done. But you have to own that up. You have to look in the mirror and say, you know what it is? Paralysis by analysis for me, because I'm not sure if I'm good at it, or I'm worried about the quality of the work, or I'm not really clear on the instructions of the assignment or the project. But I'm going to find something else to blame it on. And that's a real thing. And I will say, starting out in different organizations at different positions, different levels, positions I was asked to be put in. And on my journey of growth, I was stepping into things that I didn't think I was qualified for or capable of doing, and I'd never done before. And I think paralysis by analysis was something I really had to face. And it's like, man, that's why you hear me say things like there's no easy way to do a hard thing. You just have to do it hard. And for shock value, I would say, but this is how I describe things. I was like, nah, man, sometimes you just got to go in there naked. They just going to see that you don't know and you learning, and you just going, man, I didn't been at a job where I had to learn on the job. Like, man, I just got to go in there naked every day until I can learn a little bit. Like, okay, let me get some pants and then let me get a shirt. You have to do it that way.
But I think that comes from a level of vulnerability and transparency that most people aren't willing to experience.
They especially in the workplace. I'm like, sometimes you have to raise your hand
naked at work
and say, I don't know. It's a better answer than here's the other element. And this is a part of, I think, avoiding accountability, saying that you didn't know, the instructions weren't clear, but you never asked that. You never dug into it, but it's time for the results. And you got all these other excuses of what someone else didn't do, what you didn't tell me that part. Now you got to go seek out things, and you have to be vulnerable. Say, hey, you told me the instructions, but I'm not really clear on what that was or what this is that you're looking for, and be willing to do that because you don't want to be seen as inept or not smart or whatever the case may be. So that's more about the culture of blame shifting. The next speaking point, Doc, comfort versus growth. And I know this is your space. Why we fear accountability. Why you just touched on it.
Don't nobody want to be held accountable and told that they wrong. People don't like consequences. People's ego gets in the way. What else? People try to avoid conflict. So they don't want to be held accountable. It could be learned behavior, shame, and guilt. Oh my gosh, so many reasons why people don't want to be held accountable. But I think the biggest thing is fear of consequences. Because if I'm holding you accountable just by the connotation of that and like how it sounds like I've done something incorrectly and there is going to be a consequence.
And here, I'm going to hit them in the mouth. Sometimes, and why you think it's going to be a negative consequence, the consequence could be getting better at something.
People aren't ready for it.
Yeah, the consequence could be you now get taught properly. The consequence could be you figure out that there's a new or a more effective way for you to be provided or given assignments. And they don't think that. And so being vulnerable is really a secret weapon. To me, humility and vulnerability, being vulnerable, is the greatest strength that a person can show, because you have to love yourself. You have to be self-aware. You have to be conscious of that and be willing to take the consequences. It's a sign of strength to me. It's sexy.
What was that voice?
Vulnerability is sexy.
Okay, here we go. Perspective after dark. I can't.
All right, so some of the points on that is the truth. Okay, Doc. True growth requires discomfort.
Yeah, every day of the week.
But many seek to escape that discomfort by avoiding hard conversations. This show, y'all, like I do the research. Doc be like, oh, this is in my pocket. Here, take this. And it'll be the points that she already hit. Avoiding the hard conversations and self-reflection.
Yeah, it's hard to look at yourself. I'm telling you, the hardest thing I've had to learn as an adult is that you are responsible for you. And while there are systematic things in place, while there are real things that happen to people, ultimately you are more than likely responsible for the situations that you find yourself in. I am not talking about somebody robbing you at gunpoint because you did not ask them people to roll up on you with a gun. Come on, y'all. That's not what I'm talking about. But
not what she's talking about.
The majority, like you responsible for you.
You responsible for you.
And it's hard. Like when it clicks and you like, damn, I work at this job because of me, because I didn't apply for another job.
Oh, come on.
I'm in this relationship because I won't leave. I ain't got no money because I keep shopping on Amazon.
You don't, man, people feet sore right now. People gonna have bumps on their head. You didn't get folks in the eye, in the mouth, legs swept them, the whole nine. Alexis Butler says, perspective after dark. Erica says, that voice. She laughing. Like, what are you trying to do? So you're right on that. That self-reflection it's a doozy.
It's hard.
Yes.
It's like, oh my gosh.
You know what? This? No, Alexis and Erica both probably know what I'm going to say because you said it's hard. And if they know what I'm referring to, I'll let either one of them type it in the comments if they know what I'm going to say. When you said it's hard, okay, understood.
Do it hard,
man. You already know. Ain't no easy way.
What was that voice?
Yeah, the next thing is the myth that calling someone out is inherently negative. You touched on that. When in reality, it can be an act of care and investment in one's development.
But let me say this. I think when you say calling someone out, that
that's what they that's how they
behind it is,
but that's how they
feels
take
like an attack.
Yeah, but that's how they take it. And it's really someone just really, because here's the thing, you can be like even being direct. And now a lot of my experience I'm really referring to is not even from a personal standpoint. It's from a work and professional standpoint. Like when you have to hold people accountable, when you say, no, these are the parameters, or these were the metrics, or these are the results that we discussed, and this is what we're supposed to be due on this day at this time, and it's not there. And when it happens, saying, hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're taking 3 20-minute breaks throughout the day. You get to, I'm okay with water cooler talk, but if you're doing that too long and then you're not adhering to what you're supposed to do, I'll give you all the freedom and autonomy you want until I can't, because what you're being paid to do, what you've agreed to do, like you just mentioned, you got this job.
Yeah.
You applied to it. You said yes.
Yeah.
This is an at-will state. If you're in Texas, we might be talking to someone in other states and it may be different, but if you're in Texas, it's an at-will state. And you can leave at any time you get ready. If you don't like what the company is doing or how they run things, take it, get your passport and take your leave. Erica,
hold on before you hit the comment. I just feel like when you say call somebody out, that feels aggressive. Yeah. And feelings are not facts. I will scream this from the mountaintops. Feelings are not facts. You cannot pay your mortgage or your electricity with your feelings. They are not facts. But when you say called out, people feel like that's aggressive. And so if they've already prepared themselves for something that's aggressive, it's hard for them to hear the critique. It's hard for me to hear that you're trying to help me with my time management because you calling me out. Why you didn't send me an email? Why you didn't come to my desk and tell me? Why we at the meeting and you telling everybody?
Why that? Hey, and I know there's some work structures that I think I have a background that's in, a sports environment. So coaches did not say, well, I'm going to correct the mistake he's making after practice and have a meeting. Okay, some things you do, but it's like, I'm going to tell one story. The coach that recruited me, his name is Dick Winder, rest in peace, Coach Winder. One of my favorite people. I liked Coach Winder, loved Coach Winder. Recruited me, so that means in high school he the one that came and saw me and talked to me and was an advocate. And then once I signed and I'm painting the picture for you here. He called me every day. I worked for the Boys and Girls Club my junior and senior year in high school. He called me every day at work after school. And they'd be like, Eric, you got a call? I mean, to the point where I already knew who it was calling. And I'd pick up the phone. He'd be like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, hey, Coach, wonder what's happening. Yeah, his voice sounded like he had a box of rocks in his throat. What's going on? I said, hey, Coach, what's happening? He said, I'm just checking on your heartbeat. I say that to people I care about. I call and I just be like, checking on your heartbeat. I'm like, it's beating, Coach. Just at work, just doing. He said, all right, you good? Yeah, can't wait till you get here. Man, my first practice, I'm scout team defense, red shirt freshman. We running scout team, giving the offensive look. He's an offensive coordinator. I play, I know the game. So I go and they run a play. I mess up the play. I blow up the play because I'm playing for real. I'm not being a scout and running with the motion guy and doing all of that. This man in front of everybody talk so bad to me. He said, what are you doing? Can you not read the card? When he goes with the motion man, you go with the motion man. And now you got to imagine this. Use your imagination. He's walking back over. And as he's walking away, he turns to his left and he looks over his shoulder. Now, anybody who doesn't like cuss words, beep, mute, whatever. He said, I don't know what I was thinking when I recruited your dumb ass.
That's tough.
Listen.
I also feel like, though, for football,
first practice.
Culture, though, I don't know.
This
I
is
be thinking football coaches
it was like the man that just loved on you. And, hey, so Capital, you here, man? You one of the best players I done seen in 10 years. They just coaxed me and got me there. And first play, first day, go off. I just looked I blinked 3 times and walked back to the huddle and just ran and went and just, but see, that's the thing. I kind of been, I don't want to say I'm accustomed to it. I've been callous to it and I didn't take it as personal. So throughout life, I would call that an advantage per se, because I could take hard teaching. I could take being held accountable and redirect it in that way. Not saying that's the best way or the most effective way, because I think the best and effective way is any way that gets you the results that you're looking for from the person. That is how you judge it by the fruit the results it provides you, or the fruit that it bears, is how I like to say it. But I'll read. Erica Butler says, "There's no easy way doing hard things." That's yeah. She says, so you just do it hard, 100%. That's my man. That's my number one, man. She said, because there's no easy way to do a hard thing, so you have to do it hard. And I mean, you'll win so many times just by showing up, by taking accountability, by being vulnerable, taking the correction, taking the teaching, accepting the advice, and then most importantly, applying it. You'll win.
Heavy on applying it, because y'all, I feel like we be reading all the stuff and then we don't be doing nothing.
And don't do nothing. Boy,
heavy on applying it.
1,500 podcasts, 25 TikToks, 32 Instagram posts.
And I'm a save a TikTok.
She say I will save.
I'll be like, let me add that. I'm gonna come back. I'll be going back sometime.
I love it. See, Doc, the vulnerability, you being honest about it.
Yeah.
I say that's the greatest step toward healing right there. So comfort versus growth, while we fear accountability. True growth requires discomfort, but many seek to escape the discomfort by avoiding hard conversations and self-reflection. And the myth that calling someone out is inherently negative, when in reality, it can be an act of care and investment in your development. So an example is a person who refuses to apologize, this is even in the workplace, even in a relationship, because they view admitting fault as a sign of weakness. And go.
Hold on. Whoa. You said a mouthful there. Say it again.
So a person who refuses to apologize in a relationship because they view admitting fault as a sign of weakness.
Stay away from those type of people.
Ooh.
Because if you can't admit that you're wrong because you feel like it makes you weak, that's gonna set us up. We can't be together because you always got to be right. And even when you know I'm right, you're not gonna say nothing.
When you know when that part right there, because if you're gonna consciously say, no, I'm gonna stick with this lie, no, I'm gonna stick with this detrimental practice or path, that's almost a dead stop. Like, we need to stop everything. Let's just
right now.
Yes, 100%. And then the next is social media and the instant gratification era. I almost said generation, but that's like pointing people out. I mean,
that was wild. Not the whole generation. That was crazy.
I'm just saying, I think there is a group that avoids consequences more than others, but
oh my gosh,
we'll keep it to people. So the internet has created an environment where people seek validation over truth, often reinforcing what I learned was avoidance behaviors. When I say that, Doc, I have to unpack it a little bit. Avoidance.
So hold on. I want to go back to, you said the internet has created a situation where people seek validation over truth. I feel like life has created a situation where people seek validation over truth. It's just easier to get it on the internet because it's like whoever tells the story first. If you've ever been on TikTok specifically, then you have seen people attack a person and then that person have to later come out with receipts because the other person told the story first. So there was this, long story short, there was this wedding dress scandal. The lady was on there crying. This is what the dress looked like, blah, blah, blah. She ruined my wedding day, woo, woo, wah. So these people went to this lady's Google business page, tanked her rating, blah, 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 all this. She later came back and was like, she didn't pay for the dress. So she got what she paid for. She said, I'm not going to finish paying for it, but give me what you got. I said, well, it's not done because you didn't pay for it. Screenshots, and now y'all done tanked this lady thing. So wow. I feel like we're just in a situation where we are seeking validation rather than seeking accountability, and the internet just gives us more access to it. I feel like people are who they are. We just see it now.
You're right. You're right. And that's been going on for a long time, I think.
Yeah.
So people seek to be, this is what I say. So people are seeking to be first instead of seeking to be correct.
They seeking to be right, and they seeking to be cheered on and followed.
That's to me, that's saddening, because you don't know how much work and time and resources and money people put into their business and their craft, and then just because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, you're gonna tank someone else.
Tanked her. Just
man,
bad.
that should be. I think there should be lawsuit on defamation or something like that, because it wasn't true. Erica Butler says, please apply it. I learned from the intellect. I appreciate that. I'm honored by the statement. Erica Butler says, you can't grow that way. 100%. So
you also said avoidant behaviors. Yeah, like doing other stuff. Doing
everything with what you're supposed to.
And I have been a person to do this. Let me tell you, I'm supposed to be doing probably documentation for these clients, because that is my Achilles heel. Like I'm a help you, I'm a hold space. But when it comes to typing that note, oh baby, I struggle. I'll do anything but the avoidant behavior.
Is that
I start making phone calls. I be trying to send emails, like anything.
Is that a coping mechanism, you think? Because it's something that's uncomfortable.
I just don't like it. And I wish more people were honest about it. People are like, oh, you're just coping. Nah, I'm just avoiding that thing because I don't like it.
All right, I'm going to highlight this moment.
Ain't nothing pretty about that.
She say nothing pretty about it. I am going to highlight this moment because this is what my co-host does all the time. Like, I do a lot of research and, read and listen to, books and different speakers that, have been highlighted in this area of discussion that we're going to have for the week. And so I'll bring up a point. I have all these bullet points that I'm going to touch on this portion. And so I'll touch just on the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg of it. And then Doc, without knowing, not understanding, she just be like, I got, and boom, boom. She hit all the other three bullet points. It's why I stay impressed and admire my co-host. That my co-host is better than y'all co-host. Because the next point I had that I was going to speak about.
But
yes,
thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Yes, and I no, you're not human. You're different. You're of a different makeup. So, my next point was going to be online echo chambers, and I think you pointed it out. You was like, these people went on here and just started taking this girl stuff. Online echo chambers reward victimhood.
They do
outrage over accountability and problem solving. So. What I'm saying is, you just said it. They will jump into it and start rewarding the person who cried wolf instead of trying to hold people accountable and problem solve it. Because now I'm not going to go into the sensitive areas, but if somebody says, boom, I was wronged, if you start with, tell me what happened.
Tell me more. Mm-hmm.
Tell me what happened. So what did you do? If you try to go into anything that they did to try to rationalize what the response was that they said victimized them, then you have already chosen the other person's side. No, excuse me, slow down. I am simply fact gathering so I can come to my own conclusion. Because what I'm not going to do is just it's what they call investigating. And people who do, they got to even have people who do it for a living professionally. They call them detectives. And what you do is take a Socratic method of asking questions, gathering the information, and then you can come to a consensus and a conclusion that the facts lead to. they call it a scientific method. It's the basis and fundamental foundation of science. So, but I digress. And the example I'll use is someone who repeatedly posts. That's what I tell y'all. This is what my doc do. This is what she do. They completely post about being treated unfairly at jobs without acknowledging their poor work ethic or their interpersonal skills. So they're trash at the job. They cause dissension. They constantly bad mouthing. They are oil in the water of the company. The company says, hey, we no longer want to deal with that. You're making work life either more difficult for the rest of the team, or if someone has a company, it's like you're tainting the culture of my team, of my company. And they will go online and say, don't ever go there. They don't do this, and just flat out lie about the company, doing the same thing you just described about the lady with the dress.
Yep.
Ain't that sad?
It is sad.
Yes.
I understand why they do it, though. I don't like that they do it, and I think that there should be consequences, but I understand how difficult it is to self-reflect and realize I'm the problem.
They need to call Doc.
They need to fight for their life in that appointment calendar.
That's a good problem to have. That's a good problem.
I know I'm blessed, for real.
100%. Yeah, you've earned that, though. You know, faith without works is dead. You put in the work. The workplace, this is my spot. You know, I was going to keep it in that vein. So how avoidance destroys professional growth. Yeah, y'all might get a couple of personal stories, but you might not. Just depends on what Doc says, because she'll run through everything here real quick, and it won't be any need for me to do so. No, it's okay. Lack of accountability leads to dysfunctional teams.
Yeah.
Reduced trust, that's key, and decreased productivity. Oh, can't have that.
Yes, because we are all sitting around talking about how Susan get to keep her job, and Susan is not doing her job. And so now we mad. So now the boss come in here and he like, why y'all didn't do this? Well, did you talk to Susan like that? And so there is no trust. We don't trust the boss because Susan over here tripping. And
once again, how leaders contribute to the problem is when managers and leaders avoid confrontation.
Gotta confront
and fail to enforce expectations. Holding people to the standard that you set in place, making sure that what you say, Susie over here getting away with everything, the person over here adhering to the metrics, working hard, being in time, on time, all the time, but so-and-so get to be here, there, and wherever else. Every time they got a problem, we all got to adjust. We got to pick up their slack.
Because Susan ain't doing her job.
Right.
You want me to do too much.
Right.
Thank you.
Because really, they always making excuses because they don't want to do it, or they can't do it. They can't do the job, or they're not doing it at a level that they feel like they'll be exposed. So employees can, or they'll constantly blame their boss for their lack of career progression. And they just, I got other examples, rather than addressing their skill gaps. Now, I know people have heard this, man, and I was great. I was an excellent player in high school. I should have went to college, but my coach was hating on me.
I've never heard that.
Well, there's some listeners that are listening. They have definitely heard it. Or I didn't get good grades. I kept, because the teacher was hating on me. No, your grades. The grade, I had to find something universal.
Thank you. Sorry.
I was kind of leaning to one gender side. I apologize. Got to keep it more universal. This is because we welcome everybody here.
Everybody.
And so it's instances like that would be an example. Erica Butler says, I just dealt with this issue at my recent job. I had to get up out of there because we not doing that.
We are not letting Susan run amok, because if she can run amok, I can too. Because if you let them shenan once, they gonna shenan again, and I'm not here for the shenanigans. I do not play like that.
Shenan once and shenan again. It's crazy for me.
Yeah, they crazy trying to get out.
You got me. And as we're heading into this last part, interpersonal relationships, like when accountability is seen as an attack. We kind of touched on that, but the rise of defensiveness in relationships, like why people react with hostility when confronted with their own behavior. And we might not even make it no further after this one, because this will get hot, heavy, and heated. It's like you get defensive because you don't want to take accountability or be approached or addressed or highlighted on how you are behaving within a relationship. Because healthy relationships require accountability.
Every day.
Love without responsibility is selfish. Word for the day. Selfish. But I don't think
what be happening? Is that like your DJ sexy voice? Like what be happening right there?
See, I almost said something real slick because I play a lot, but I don't know. I don't know that.
You said it's real
selfish, man. But think about that. I don't think people think love without responsibility. Write that down.
It's selfish.
It's selfish. Love without responsibility.
The responsibility of what? Holding that person accountable, paying their rent. Like what we talking about?
Well, it requires accountability. If you're operating within a relationship that is harmful to your partner, that is neglectful to your partner, that puts strain on the relationship, you're not being responsible. Because if they bring it to the forefront and they say, hey, this is affecting me in this way, or this is how that's being received or perceived, and it's negatively impacting me, and you don't want to take any accountability for it, no, like, well, you just got to deal with it. Or that's just how I am, because I know that right there. Oh no, that's a problem. That's a problem.
That. If that's just how you are, I am opting out because I don't.
You're being selfish because you're saying I'm not willing to
change. You're not even willing to talk about it.
You're not even willing to look at how it's impacting. You don't care. So don't let me get on that high horse. So a friend,
but hold on. Sometimes that is how a person is. But what I can respect is, you know what? I have operated in this space for umpteen years, but I see that it's hurting you. I'm gonna try. But to just be like, well, I think you're.
Well, let me delve in that a little bit more, Doc, because I was going to say more about that, but it would have been, no, I'm not going to do it. So my thing is, you said, if a person says, I've been this way for a lot of years, but I'm going to try. How does that impact, like, because if you really care and love someone, you're not going to be comfortable hurting them, right?
Yeah, but I think with depending on the situation, I'm not intentionally hurting you. Like I legit just moved like this and I didn't realize it was an issue because nobody else told me it was an issue. You told me it was an issue. So now I'm like, oh, let me check myself. So I think that acknowledging that, like, oh, this hurts you. Oh my God, my bad. I'm gonna try to do better. I think that's the first step. I think when people are like, well, I'm just like, that's just who I am. You're disgusting and you don't want to grow, and don't be like that.
Yeah, I think that matters if someone takes accountability, and it may be, like you said, a unconscious act of that person just being themselves, whatever it is. But if they acknowledge it, and the way that because I have a lot of ways that rub people a certain way, but if they let me know, I wish I had a switch that I could just, okay, boom, let me fix that, because many times it's trivial.
You gotta try. You gotta try.
Yeah, and it may not be intentional. The thing that I say, if you really want to make that change, you give that person permission. Hey, when I do it and I'm not aware of it, let me know right then. But you have to be vulnerable to be corrected, to take accountability, for someone to call you out on what's going on at that time. And it'll help you define and to identify what that is. Because many times it's hard to quantify that if you talk to them about it later and they can't give you a specific moment or give you a specific phrase, especially if it may be the way you say it, the body language, the whole nine. So, giving them that permission, I would say that's a solution for individuals. But let me read the comments. Erica Butler says, exactly, Doc. And Erica Butler says, please leave your sexy voice out of this. I'm ruining for my seeds, man. I'm sorry. Alexis Butler said, man, I'm crying. It emphasizes what he's saying, he got to hit the voice.
He said,
It,
selfish.
Cause see, we talking about it. Everybody, see, you remember what is it? Selfish. I didn't do none of that. You just did.
Just know when I tell the story,
it's gonna be a shimmy. She put a shimmy into it, man. Hold on.
Yeah, just know when I tell the story, that's what happened.
So I would say a general example is like, let's keep it like friends. We talked about relationships because it doesn't have to be romantic.
True.
It can be, spouse to spouse, brother to sister,
person to person,
person to person in any relationship level. A friend who always like cancels plans but gets angry when confronted about their unreliability. You said you'd be here. You said you'd do it. You took on the responsibility. Then you constantly change, leave me in the lurch. Oh, you said you're going to watch so-and-so, but then I can't hear this. Or say, man, I'm sorry this happened, man. Oh, okay. And I ain't saying that can't happen because life be lifing, as Doc likes to say. And but if you consistently do that, but I can always be reliable, and you have no hesitation on calling me. And I will say this, no one wants to be used. Life is about reciprocity. So think about that. When you're operating in the world, if people are giving, you need to find a way to give back. Matter of fact, I say lead with the giving so that when the time comes and you ask, it's a give, then ask. A give, and then ask. I would say that's a good equation to operate on.
I agree.
And this will be, there's several more. I would say I want to do this, Doc, as we close out. The mental health toll of avoidance. When escape becomes destructive. So avoidance creates anxiety, stress, and a deep sense of personal stagnation. And the longer accountability is avoided, the heavier the emotional burden becomes. And an example would be someone who refuses therapy or self-reflection, leading to broken relationships and this is the key, repeating negative behaviors.
Yep, I agree with all of that. And I think that sometimes people think that what they're doing is helping themselves. Remember, I talked about how it can be a coping mechanism. So it starts out, I'm just coping, I'm avoiding this thing because I'm scared or whatever. But then over time, it then turns into something that's harmful. Because if you keep avoiding it, how do you learn how to confront it?
We kind of touched on this about the term protecting your peace. Now you broke it down for us. So I would encourage anyone who's listening to this to go listen to last week's episode. Because that avoiding, like people will avoid all accountability because they're saying, I'm protecting my peace. No, what you're doing is really creating a lot more anxiety, stress, and personal stagnation for yourself because you're not addressing things that need to be addressed, especially if it's creating chaos or disruption or negativity in your life, whether it be in work or in a relationship. And then the longer you avoid addressing the thing, the heavier the emotional burden becomes. You ever get a crack in your windshield? It's just that little spot.
But if you don't let them people come shoot that thing on there, it'll just spread.
It'll clean it up. But if you don't and you let it rains or the weather shifts, that crack goes across the whole windshield. Now you have to replace the entire windshield. So avoidance is never good. In my younger days, not want to admit that I didn't have things under control. When you're young, I'm a man. I'm responsible. I'm an adult. No, you're not. Smart people know, hey, let me find solution to the issue I'm having. I have not dealt with this before. Let me get some advice. Hey, let me look towards someone who's been successful in this space and has faced what I'm facing right now.
Right.
Who maybe, I ain't saying you got to do exactly what they're telling you to do, but at least gives you some points of guidance to make a sound decision. Making decisions without information is crazy to me. You've never done it before. But I'm going to make decisions. It doesn't work that way. There is
Um,
nothing new. Listen, I'm looking dead in the. There is
there's
nothing
nothing
new
new
under the
under the
sun.
sun.
Everything you've done, all you know, everything you say, feelings you felt, it's all been experienced before. There is nothing new. Go seek out that information so you can make.
I'm a little disappointed that you didn't pull the voice out. Just a little touch disappointed. I don't know. I was kind of with Alexis with emphasizing your point. You didn't emphasize.
I'll be better. I'll be better.
Yeah,
Hey,
be better.
I received that. I take accountability for
Yeah.
not understanding the moment and when to apply it, and I will do so going forward. And I give you permission to definitely, help me understand when those moments are. See how we demonstrate the things we talk about on here. We take ownership. We don't avoid. We become vulnerable, and we accept that tutelage.
I love it.
We accept that tutelage.
There you go. That's what I'm talking
about. Erica Butler says it will always be chaotic. Definitely lived and learned. Totally love the accountability in life.
Oh, I like that. That was
yes.
Good. All right. If you are still here, we definitely appreciate you being here. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a different friend to tell a whole nother friend. Perspective is happening on Thursdays, and we would love for you to be in the room. We are so thankful that you're here because we recognize you could have been anywhere. It's definitely Thursday. You probably worked all day. You probably tired. So thank you so much for being here. Hey, Rashonda Davis. She said the voice.
The voice.
You know, right. Rashonda.
I know some Rashonda. I think.
Do you know Rashonda Davis? No, I'm just kidding.
I would not confirm or deny that.
And with that, give us your final thoughts. Rashonda, thank you for being here.
No, my final thoughts is that it's pretty straightforward. Do not be confused. Accepting accountability is an act of strength. Being vulnerable is an act of courage. And I promise, if growth and being better, your best version of yourself, you cannot do it without having accountability and accepting that and seeking out that from others. Understanding that it is not ridicule, it is not being called out, and it's okay to be uncomfortable because iron sharpens iron, and we want you to be as sharp as possible.
And with that, we're out. Okay, my final thought.
Okay, now I'm gonna cut it off now. Go ahead.
My final thought: when you are trying to hold someone accountable, and when you are giving someone a critique, please do it with your intentions leading. So lead with your intentions. If your intention is for them to grow, lead with that. If your intentions is love, lead with that. People cannot hear you. People will not get your message if you do not speak it in a language that they can understand, in a tone that they can receive. And with that, we out of here.
Y'all be good.